I hit this button here, the got it button. There we go. Hey, hi. I see Valerie, I see Cindy, Loretta. Hi guys. I see Sharon, you just popped up. Hi Sharon. Everybody's here. Hey guys. All right, welcome. We've got a really fun class today, and I'm excited about it because it's something that I came up with by accident and then I loved it. So I thought I'll share it with you guys and see if you like it too. We can make lots of different colors and lots of spins. I'm going to give a few more minutes just to let everybody join, and then I'll go through the materials with you guys. But I hope you're having a really great Tuesday. It's good to see you guys in the middle of the week. I usually have to wait till Friday, so I'm excited. And we've got Carmi's here. She's in the chat. And yeah, looks like we still got folks joining. Oh, wow. Looks like Sharon's got started already. And thank you for looking at the pattern for me. That was really helpful. Thanks, Sharon. All right. Shall I get started, Carmi? I think do we have everybody? Or
Danielle, I'm just watching the waiting room because it's not automatically letting people in. So I'll monitor that and I'll keep letting people in. So you might hear that ping now and again. But okay. Oh, I'm noticing on the sidebar somebody noticed I reposted the tiger earring pattern. Yes. Oh my gosh, if you get a chance to post that you made it in your lifetime, that will be amazing. So yes, welcome to everybody, and I'll be on the sidebar and I'll answer any questions anyone has. So Danielle, I think you're good to go.
All right, cool. Well, I'll start off with introducing the beads. So today I am working with a Czech 2-hole twin bead. And the 2-hole twin beads are really cool because I've discovered that they have a little bit of a, here, I'm just going to see if I can spotlight what I've got going here. I'm looking to spotlight my mat. I'll figure it out. Let's see. Oh, there we go. No, or Carmen, you must have done that because I couldn't figure out. Thank you. So what I have on the mat is, kind of in process one and a finished one. And then I was going to take a minute and just explain the twin beads. Now, these are a little bit smaller than a super duo. And the cool thing about them is I have found that they have a little bit bigger hole diameter than a super duo standardly does. I know you get a lot of variation with super duos that sometimes depending on the coating, you end up with some that might even be closed or you're trying to get the needle through. And I don't see that with these. They're a little more organic than a super duo and they're a little smaller, but with easier to work with hole diameter. So just to give you a comparison, here's some of our super duos. This is one that we have at the Michael's Wall. And this is a beautiful color, and the shape is, if you look at it, it's got kind of like the sides are pinched. There's almost like an indentation on either side, like above the holes a little bit. Whereas with the twin beads, a little smaller. And check out the hole diameters on this. Like, this is cool you can use these with beading wire and stuff. Also great for getting multiple thread passes. So it opens up some design possibilities there because you can maneuver better. And so there's a kind of a tricky turn in this design. That is made possible by that generous hole diameter in the 2-hole Czech twin beads. So I thought I would just explain that really quick in case anyone's new to that style of bead. That said, if you're sitting with super duos and that's what you'd like to use today, they're going to work just
really
fine.
pissing me off.
Hello? Yeah, so the super duos will totally work as well. But the beads I'm working with today are the 2-hole twin beads. All right, and then for the seed beads, we've got
Powering on.
Czech 10-0 and a Czech 11-0. So either of these is fine. You can also use a Japanese 11-0. That'll be great too. But whichever you've got in front of you is good. I think in the sample designs, I have used I've mixed up Czech 11s and Japanese 11s and different colors. So anything that you've got in front of you, it's probably going to work just great for this. And then for thread, I'm just going to work with Wildfire. I know that's what a lot of us we have on hand anyway, so I'm going with this, but you know, size D beading threads. At John Bead, we have things like the Miyuki Durline and Good Thread. All of those threads will work great too. But the Wildfire is what I think most folks have handy, so that's the one I'm going for today. And so this is a cool design that can become lots of things. I'm making bracelets just because they're faster to demo, but you can make a necklace too. And I was thinking, how cute would this be as like a collar length necklace? It would take a while and you need to add thread, but it would be a really cool design. But if you want to make a bracelet, somewhere between 65 and 75 inches is enough to make probably this many repeats, including maybe 1 or 2 more, and still have room to weave in and create your clasp attachment. So if you start with about, 65 to 70 inches, you should be rolling, good to go on that. And for needles, I'm going to use some size 12 beading needles. You can use any needles that you've got. I think the hole diameters really do support, like you could use a 10 if you wanted, but I have these handy from our other classes. So that's just what I grabbed. And at the end, you can finish this design with any findings you want. I've been using some of the findings that I found at John Bead. So we have a lot of just really cool things, our must-have findings line and our stainless line. And then I find these little treasures on the website. So I've got a bunch of stuff here that I thought I would just play with. But whatever toggle you've got, lobster claw chain, anything that you like to use is going to work great. Okay, so I'm going to just jump in. I'm going to start cutting my thread. Measure about a few inches here, less than what we've got on the handout, because I don't want it to be too crazy long for the demo. And if you're just joining, we're just getting started, so you haven't missed anything. All I'm doing is cutting thread, and I'm using Wildfire. That's this one. We're using some Czech 2-hole twin beads, and I'm going to be using some size 10, or I might pull out the size 11s. I think I'll start with the 11s. Czech seed beads, and I'm cutting about 65 to 70 inches. I'm just going to use some chain nose pliers to flatten my thread. And that just is so it will go through a needle easier. That to go through. Let's see. I'm going to try one more time. This needle's not doing what I usually get it to do. I might switch it. Okay, trying this. I'm going to trim that and flatten it. Technical difficulties here. I know this needle worked because it's the one I used last week. There we go. Okay. I must have done something with that one. Not totally sure. All right, so I finally got that threaded. I'm just going to fold it over here. About 7 inches or so. So kind of how we usually do, or we're working with a single strand, and I'm just folding that over. And I'm going to leave a tail, and your tail just needs to be long enough to create what will become this end here. Let me show you really quick. 10, 15 inches, maybe even, I think a little more than 7 would be helpful, but we just use it to create that little loop at the end. So you don't need a lot, 10 or 15, 10, 12. And get my seed beads going. Let's go with the 11s. All right. And I'm just working with some bright colors so we can see pretty well. Any colors will do. Okay, and so it's the same steps repeated over and over again. But basically we're going to create what looks like a little flower. And it's got a cool thread path, and it's one that I kind of worked out so that you can work with the whole thing without having to work with 2 needles or without having to backtrack. So it's worked all at once. You get to the end and you're all done. So I'm going to start by just stringing. Each of these is a twin bead, and each of those is a 11 or a size 10 seed bead. And then I'll show you that thread path there. So leaving that good 10-inch tail, I'm going to pick up 1 twin bead, and then 11, the twin, and an 11. I'm going for a total of 4 twins. So like that. And then I'm going to bring that down to leave my tail. And something else I wanted to point out is if you wanted to make a super long one, you could leave a super long tail. This design is workable in both directions. Like you could come along and take your tail thread that you left and start working another segment. So it's totally possible to do that. So keep that in mind if you're going to make something longer than a bracelet that can help you with one thread addition. But once you've got this strung, which again was twin and an 11-0, twin 11-0, twin 11-0 for a total of 4 twins and 3 11-0s. Just want to go back through all. And what I'm doing here is I strung them through one hole, right? And now I'm going to go down through the other side, the other hole in the bead. So we strung it on one side, and we're going to go through all the ones on this side. So just like this. And I'll pick that up really quick so you can see it. Just going through all of them. And I actually do this while holding it. I hold this side. So I'm kind of pinching the tail thread here. And when you pull it through, it'll tighten down into like a little rounded shape like that. And then just pick up 4 more twins. And we don't need to space this one because this is our inside. So just pick up 4 more twin beads. And then I'm going to do that same thing again. I'm going to come up here and go through all of these again. So all 4 of those twin beads. Get the needle through. And there we go. It might be a little wonky at first, but what we're going for is that. And I like to reinforce it one time. So that means just going through all of that again. So I'm going to come up through this side. And I can usually get through at least, 2, maybe 3 if I'm lucky. And you can pull on this other strand to tighten as you're going. That helps a lot. I'm going to come up through this one. Okay, so there's one side. Come down through this side one more time. Oops, it jumped away. There we go. And again, I'm just trying to get through all of these on this side. Oops. Okay, so there, that's reinforced. Got that all good. And I'm going to make one more trip up through this side. So we did our reinforcing, and now I just want to get to where I'm at the top. All right. And so how's everybody doing? Have I gone too fast? Did I miss anybody or lose anyone? It looks like I missed a bead there, so I want to go back and fix that. I didn't quite get through that one. Just go ahead and jump in the chat if you'd like to see me do that one more time. You good? Okay.
I think you're okay, Danielle.
I see a place where I missed a strand, but I'm just going to go with it. But I'll show you guys what I did so that you can make sure you don't do what I did. But I didn't quite catch this one as I was going through it. So just, you know, as you're going through, make sure you don't miss any. I'm going to live with it because it was done on my last pass. So it's still going to work. But I wanted to highlight that in case anybody saw it too. Okay. So when you're here, you're exiting from the center. You just want to jump down through this one. So all I did was I jumped and went through the hole on the other side. And now I'm just going to put a bead in between each of the holes that are running along the outside there. So there's one. And two. Okay. And now you'll have what looks a lot more familiar, like these little flower. And depending how many times you reinforced, your tail may be on this side or that side, and we can just move it later to be where we want it to be. But from here, and in fact, before I go on, would anyone like to see that all again? I can do that one more time.
Danielle, because this is the most important part of this, I think you should do it a second time.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. I'm feeling like 2 times would be good. So I'm just going to trim that. Okay, and so we're just going to start over and show it a second time, which is perfect for, I just heard someone just joined. So you're in luck if you just joined. We're starting in the second. We're going to repeat it one more time. So we're just getting started. And again, these are check 2-hole twin beads and size 11 seed beads. So I'm going to start stringing a series of twins spaced by a size 11 seed bead for a total of 4 twins. I'm going for a number 4 here with size 11 in between. And leave a tail that's big enough to create a small attachment for your clasp, so 10 to 15 inches. And these are 2-hole beads. So the way I strung them was I didn't really worry about which one I strung, just got them all on there. But now I'm going to turn and I'm going to go down through the open hole of these beads. So I'm going to go down through all of these, which is going to make them form kind of like a little arc shape. So you get that little shape right there. And then you just want to pick up 4 more twin beads. And earlier I missed one, so just be careful you're actually going through all of them. But I found that I kind of skipped and didn't quite make it through one of them earlier. So just going through all of those. It's pretty loose right now, but after you reinforce it one time, it gets a lot tighter. And the same trick that we do a lot with a lot of our other stitches where we pull on the tail and the working thread, you'll see me doing that a lot. It just tightens it up. And from where I am here, I want to go through this side. That's a little tricky, but I got it. Okay. And then once you've got that done, you can decide if you want to reinforce it again. And depending on where you end up, you might end up with the tail on one side versus the other. I feel like this one's tighter than my last one, so I'm going to go with where I am here. But don't sweat it if you end up with one where you've reinforced your circle and you end up on the other side. It's going to work either way. But from where I am here, we're just going to turn and jump through the open hole of that bead. And here we go, and add a seed bead in between each of those. And I can do this one more time too, because this is really these steps. So if anyone wants to see it again, let me know. But here's that little flower. How's everybody doing? Does it make sense, or there's no problem? We have plenty of time. I can do it one more time if you like.
I think you're good, Danielle.
You
And I
good?
just wanted to say that Cindy's loving your color options today.
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah, these are really good colors. These and like the oranges, and I also brought out these purples. All of these work really nicely for Zoom, and coincidentally look really great for spring. I've been really loving them. Okay, and so from where I am here, I've got my tail on this side, and it really doesn't matter. You can have your tail here or that side. We'll move it at the end and put it where we want it to be when we do our attachment. But I'm going to have 5 seed beads on here. So there's just 5 size 11s. And we're going to repeat all that again. So I'm going to
speaker gave out again.
1,
And I went to put this in, but it hasn't used all, so it's not
and then
short.
2, and then 3, for a total of 4. And so to show you guys what I'm doing, we created this flower, right? And we're exiting from one of those sides. And I just strung 5, and then I strung super duo 11, sorry, twin bead 11, twin bead 11, twin bead 11, and for a total of 4. And that's where we are. And then you'll recognize here what we're doing is we're just going to do that same little loop to get those 4 attached. And so that's where we're at here. So I'm going to pull that down. And don't worry about which side it's on now. Our goal is for having it face that way. So if you can get it to do that, great, but it will kind of automatically do that anyway once you get the other sides on, but I'll show you a trick to force it if it's not working for you. But I just went down through all those beads again, right? And then we're going to string 4 more of the twin beads. And then go down through all those beads again. And so it's starting to look like, you know, the design in the handout, where you've got each of those little segments working. So I think I will reinforce this one. This one is pretty loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch up through the inside hole of these twin beads on the side, and then down through the inside hole of this side. And then from there, we'll figure out where to go next. And this reinforcement stuff is optional. Like if you're working with a thicker thread, like a 0.008, you may not need to do this. You may want to just to make sure it stays tighter. So totally up to you. I think I'm a reinforcer. I like to go through all of my stuff again. All right, and now I'm going to come back up through this side, still doing that same reinforcing step, just traveling around. So from here, same thing. We're going to just we're exiting from the inside hole of the twin bead that is on the right at the top there, and we're just going to go through this hole here on that side, and then I'll pick up a size 11 bead and put it in between. Again, I'm going through the outside holes now of those twin beads. So there's 1. And 3. So we've got almost there. And now we just want to connect this to this side. And to do that, we need to put 5 seed beads on. And so here's 5 size 11s. And then I'm going to cross over and go up through here. So when you get to this spot, our goal is, of course, to get over here and keep carrying on. So we need to weave over here. To get there, what I'm going to do is follow a kind of woven around thread path that looks like this. I'm going to just kind of turn and go through like that, right, to weave around. And then I just also want to point out one other idea. This is our first one. So if we wanted to, on this one, we could take our tail down here and then around that way. And it would be in position for starting the clasp. And then we could just take this one up here and here. So that's an option to get rid of your tail if you end up with your tail where mine is. And so I thought I might show that. And then on our next, we'll do another repeat and I'll show that weaving around. I just thought this was a good idea. I believe it is what I did on the originals too. My tail ends up being there most of the time. So I'm going to get another needle here. This is my tail thread. And I have one more trick to share after this, but I'll share it on the next segment. But all I'm doing is just going down through the 5 that I just strung, right? And this is optional. It's not in the handout. It's just something that I did on my first segment to make it easier for me not to worry about where my tail was. So now my tail's where I need it to be for when I do my clasp. And now I'm going to take this one and come up this side with it. So instead of doing that little turn, which we'll need to do in the future, this saves us having to do that one time. So if you like that, go for it. And if your tail's already where it needs to be, then hang tight. And I'm about to show you how to do the weaving for our next segment. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna just repeat all that again. And just tighten things up if you need to. That's what I'm doing there. Okay, I'm gonna start with 5 more of the twin beads. Sorry, 5 more of the size 11 seed beads. Sorry about that. So there's 5 more size 11s. Bring those down. And this one's going to kind of go that way. And I'm going to pick up a twin, 11, for a total of 4 of the twin beads. And each one is spaced by a size 11. Bring that down. I'm just kind of helping them face this direction. I'm going to pick up 4 more twin beads. So there's those. And going to, oh, I skipped something. Sorry, guys. Take those off. I forgot an important step. I need to go back down through the center ones. So I got that strung. And now I need to go through all of those on the inside hole of the twin bead. And I do that a lot when I'm working on these on my own. I skip that step and then you figure it out really quick, but I'm just getting ahead of myself. Okay, so there's that side. And now I need those 4 back. There's 4 more. And then just come down through all of these. Okay, so there's that one. I'm going to turn it so it crosses over like that. Because that's where I want it to end up like. And I'm going to come up through all of the beads on this side again. And of course, you can go around and reinforce that if you'd like to. I'm feeling like this one's good though. I could, but it's, no, why not? We'll go and reinforce it. This one for some reason seems tighter than my last one. But for consistency, I'm going to go ahead and reinforce it. So it's just basically going through all of those beads again. It takes a minute, but it looks really good when you're done. Okay. And so from here, we're in that center, you know, the inside holes of these twin beads. So we're just going to do a jump and come over here to the outside hole of the bead and put a 11 in between each one. So again, we're working in the outside hole now. Okay. And same as before, we want to connect, and hold it up a little bit. We want to connect this side to that side with 5 of the size 11 seed beads. So I'm going to pick those up. And then cross over here, come over through here. All right. So now we're going to do that turn, the one I was showing before. Oops, sorry. Where we have to kind of, we have to weave our way around because we want to get back up here, right? So we have to come down through here. And this was just one path. You can also weave down further if you want, if you have any spots that you want to reinforce. So it's kind of up to you, but what I've been doing on all of the subsequent ones is from where I am here, I'll try to hold that up so we can see really well. I'm exiting from this outside hole of the top twin bead right there, right? So exiting from there, I want to just turn and go through the inside hole. So there, the thread's exiting from, let me come up. I'm behind the work here, so just showing where I'm at. Exiting from that hole, the inside one right there. And then just go ahead and go down through the twin bead on the other side, inside hole. So right there. And then turn and come through the outside hole of that one. So same twin bead, we're just coming up through the outside hole right here. And now we are where we need to be to travel up through the beads above. So I'm going to flip it over from where I am here so you can see where I'm headed. I'm going to travel through all of those to get all the way back up here. And then we'll repeat this one more time, and then I'll show you one other thing that's optional. But I'm going to travel all the way up through here. You know, just do your best. I'm going slowly because when I did the first demo, I noticed that I missed a bead. So I'm paying attention now to how quickly I'm going. All right. And there it is. So that's the whole thing. It's just those steps repeated. And there's some bells and whistles you could put on it if you want to. I found when I made these that this structure just stays put, meaning this doesn't come undone like that, right? It's a combination of tension and having stitched it with it in place, meaning when I was creating each of the flowers, and I'll talk to that again when we create our next segments, but when I was creating them, I was folding them over, putting them where I wanted to be. And so when I first made this design, I didn't have any issues with it moving. You know, it wears like just like that. But if you're finding that for whatever reason yours isn't staying put in that configuration, that crossed over configuration, which here's another example. You know, if I force it, I can get it to, I can force it to open like that, right? But it naturally wants to do this. In any case, if you're having trouble with that, I'm going to show you on the next one how you can lock them down. And it just involves going from the third bead out through the third bead on the other one and carrying on. So these are actually locked in. You can't pull these apart. If you try, you just get this. I don't know which one I like better. I tried it because I was answering a question that I got from someone who was checking out the pattern, but I still think I like it better not locked. I actually think it lays neater, but I would invite you to experiment and see what you like. And there's just two different ideas for how you can do it. So let's create another one and I'll show you that little lock in case you like it. So here's 5 more. And I know I want it to head this way, right? So I'm automatically kind of training the thread. I don't know if there's anything to this or not, but I noticed that's what I was doing. I was trying to figure out why are mine locking? Because I'm not sure why they're doing that. But here's what I've been doing. I cut 1 twin bead and 11, going for a total of 4 here. I'm bringing those down. And then I know I want them to face that way, right? So I'm already just kind of shaping them as I go. Come down through here. Need 4 more. I'm going to go through all these beads again. And so there's that. And I'm going to reinforce them. So just going through all these on this side. And it's pretty loose right now. You can see it's just coming apart. So definitely this one, I'm wanting to do 1 more pass. And as you get your tension really good, it gets a little tougher to get through. But again, the twin beads are easier for me to do these maneuvers through, which is one of the reasons I like them. If this was a super duo bead, I'd probably be not, having as easy a time just kind of weaving through like that. So that's one of the perks, I think. So there it is, right where I need to be. You need to come down this side and meet over here. I want to put some 11s in between each one, and I need to turn and go through the outside or the open hole of that bead there. It goes pretty fast. I've already got 4 done in just this time, and you can make this bracelet really quick. So there's 1. And 2. Here's 3. There's that. Let's get 5 more. And actually, I'm going to do something. Let's see. Bear with me for 1 second. I have an idea. It'll be easier for you to see if I do this because I'm going to join the strands and it's going to look a little weird. So you can tell them apart this way. All I did was I grabbed some 11, in orange. So I'm going to get the 5 size 11 beads. And I'm going to come down through the outside hole of that duo bead there. All right, so there's that crossover. I love the new color, that's cool. I'm going to come up through and I'm doing that same little weave around that is in the diagram, that little trip through the top twin beads so that we can get over here. So there's through to that side. And now I'm going to go through the inside hole of the one on the other side. If you're having trouble getting through them, just bend the work a little bit. I find that really helps if I kind of bend it. Okay, and then just 1 more turn. Coming up through the outside hole. And I went through the 11 that's above it. That's where we're going, so I'm going to stick with that. Okay. Making sure I didn't hug that other bead there. See this here? It was trying to hug that 11. Didn't want it to do that. All right, so here's where we're at. Already mine are crossing nicely, and I would actually just keep going through. I would keep going through all 5 of these and then up the side and keep going. But if you are wanting to lock the spiral down, here's one way you could do it. Go ahead and go up through the first, second, and third of the beads in that row. So here's where I am. I've gone through the first 3. And flip it over. Find bead number 3 in your top strand and come down through that. So going down through bead number 3 in that top strand. And anyone who just joined, this step I'm doing is optional. It's not in the handout. It's just something that I came up with after getting asked a question. I'm blocking these together. So we went down through the 3rd bead, flip it over again, back up through the 3rd bead. 1, 2, 3. And then just go ahead and keep going. Just like in the handout, just keep going all the way up that side. And what you'll get when you do that is they're locked in at the 3rd bead, almost like a ladder stitch. Sorry, that's really out of focus. There we go. So like a ladder stitch, beads number 3 in both strands are laddered together. You can see the thread. And I'm not sure I'm in love with that, but definitely it's not going to go anywhere. And when you wear it, it's going to stay put. So try it and see how you're feeling. Like if you don't like that this could be forced to move, you can try that. Yeah, so that's the whole thing. I can do one more segment, but I'd like to just take a minute here to hear if anyone else wants to see. I could even start it over.
And you're really good for timing, and I'm monitoring the sidebar. So okay. I think obviously people are anxious to see how you finish it. But I want to let you know that it's the pattern is extremely well received. Cindy's renamed it Sweet and Swirly.
Aww.
So that's going to stick in my head. We were thinking it would look great at Christmas time as a peppermint color theme, which would be awesome. So lots of great ideas already.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Oh, wow. I just thought of something. I got to show you guys. They come in white. And then we could grab the red. That's perfect.
Yes.
Consider it done. We have our Christmas content. Yay. Okay. Yeah. So why don't I show finishing it just to make sure that, I don't miss covering that. And then we can always go back and do more stuff. And finishing it's super easy. It only takes a second, but all you need to do is create a little loop here. And so exiting from the outside bead, just where I'm at right now, or sorry, the outside hole of the top bead, of the top twin bead. That's where you'll be after you finish that last step. And when you've reached your last segment, the finishing one, we're just going to string a series of beads. You can change this up. I think I did 5 on some of them, and on some of them I did 6. And honestly, it depended on whether or not I was using an 11 or a 10. So the 10s, 5 looked better, and I think with 11s, 5 or 6. So this count is totally up to you. 5 or 6 is going to work fine. And I can go and see what I did on some of the other ones. Yeah, so it looks like I did 6 on that one, and it makes it more pointy. But yeah, try 5, try 6, see what you like.
Danielle, I have your original sample, and you did 5.
I did 5 on the original. Yeah, that one I was using, I think I might have, I was using 11s, but I might have just been in the mood to make it a little closer because I was using chain probably. So yeah, definitely just play with that. It's not a critical count. Just anything you like. Here's 2, 3, 4. So here's 5. I'm doing 5 just for matching the handout. And so there's a little loop. And to reinforce it, you just need to do the same thing that we did before to weave around. and I accidentally went through that 11, turning and going through the inside hole of the top twin, and then the inside hole of the one that's next to it, going down. And then up through the outside hole. And however many of those beads I can get through, go ahead and go through those. And I'm just going to keep going through all of them. And then if you want to reinforce that one more time, we can repeat that again. Just going to go through here. It'll be a little tighter on this second pass through, but not too bad. It's totally doable. And another option is if it's not letting you go through, like I'm struggling here, you can always go through the next one. You can make that turn on any of the twin beads. So I ended up through 2 of them just because that's what my needle ended up doing. That's going to work just fine. And I'll just come up through all of those. And then I'll just show you guys how to weave in after I get around this little reinforcement here. All right. So from here, I'm just kind of going to head down through the bead weaving, and you have a chance with your extra thread to reinforce anything that you want. So if you feel like something needs to be tightened up, you can do that as part of your weaving in. And then when you're ready to be finished with it, a couple options. You can start doing circles through the twin beads, meaning going through the inside and outside hole. So I'll show that once if you don't want to do any knotting. So this is how to do it the no knot way. So from here, I would just go through like a center one. And it doesn't matter which bead you choose, but it can be whichever ones you can get through easier is usually what I go with. Go through here. So a really tight connection there. We go. So that's the inside, and then just turning and going through the outside again, and then continuing on. So every time you do one of those turns, you've made it really strong. You're locking it in really nicely. And now I'm just traveling through. And I'm going to go down here and show a knot way. All right, so from where I am here, I'm going to do my knots in front of my 11s because they have a smaller hole diameter than the twin bead. And so my knot is less likely to slide up from one of those, but I'm just going to pick up the thread. So going under that thread bridge there. And then pull up a loop, go through that loop with your needle, pull tight. You'll get a little knot. And I gave it another little tug and it put that knot inside of my size 11 seed beads. You can see it it's snuggled in there. Go through the twin bead. Oops, my mat is wandering there. You can repeat that one more time and then go through a twin and trim. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll pull up a loop. Oh, that went small. There we go. There's another knot. And from here we can trim. So I'm gonna grab those scissors, push down and pull up. And there you go.
Danielle, you were traveling. Did you pay attention to where you went through when you did the 5 beads, the 11 O's?
Yeah, I went through, I was on this side. So I just kept going through and I just went down through the one that was on the top.
Thank you.
And that put me over here. And then I did my knots here. And if I was going to keep going, I would have to go this way. If I was going to keep going, I'd go through here. But so you're always kind of just going like that. And as it gets longer, you know, you'll have enough space where you can really weave in better. Mine's kind of short, so I only got through 2, but I might have gone through 3 if I was weaving in without doing knots. I mean, but yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. There's lots of places you could take this. I was looking at it the other day because I was revisiting one of our old designs that we did in April, which was, I don't know if you guys remember the Regency cuff that we did. I'm trying it right now with some twin beads, actually with those white twin beads that I had out. And I wanted to play with putting a crystal in the center. And so if you remember how we did that with the Regency cuff, where we don't have a center point here, but if I did 5 twin beads instead of 4, I would have a center. So I thought I might play with that. There's just one idea. And I don't know if anyone has any questions about this design or stuff coming up or just ideas that you want to share. Feel free to drop those.
I definitely wanted to let you know everyone's making earrings to match.
Yay!
So
Hey, cool.
that's already visible from how you explained how to put that loop on. So that is great to see that will happen.
Yay. That's cool.
And Danielle, we always have 1 or 2 new people. So if you could just point out how you would add your lobster clasp or how you would do that closure.
Yeah. Yeah, so to put a closure on, what I would do is get jump rings going first. And any kind of jump rings you've got will work great. I'm going to grab a pair of, I like to use, so I have a set of pliers that comes with chain nose, square nose, bent nose. So 3 different kinds of what are essentially chain nose pliers. These are my square nose and these are my bent nose. And for jump rings, they're kind of my go-to thing. Lots of people do jump rings different though. So, but for me, I take the square nose and I use that to hold one side. And then I'll take the bent nose, pinch the other, and just bend it forward. That's a lateral motion to get that open without losing my circle shape. And then secure it to there. And close it. And so you would put, if you had a clasp, you know, on the side, put it on that side. If it's just the chain side, you could just put extra jump rings or attach some chain. A lobster claw is what I did on a lot of the other ones. So a way to do that, getting another jump ring here. You can go directly here into the other jump ring. This is a way to add length too. So there's always flexibility in your jewelry designing to get things where you need it to be. So there's one way. I think on this one, I just went straight to with 1 jump ring, right? Straight to the connector there. Same thing on this side. I gave it 2 on the side because the toggle bar, you want it to have some wiggle room, right? So there's 2 here. Yeah. And then on the handout design, there's a chain and a lobster claw attached the same way that we did the toggle here.
Danielle, when we did this pattern originally, we had to make an edit. Do you recall what the edit was on your original? If you could just point it.
I called something the wrong thing. It was right here. I had written string 5 S11. And it should say string 5 twin.
That's great. So whoever maybe already printed that original one, it's a tiny, tiny error, and you could just write it right now.
Yeah,
And
it was
your
right here.
original printing.
And thank you, Sharon, for catching that. You saw it early, so I feel like most people probably have the version that's got the twin there. But if you don't, that should say twin, and it's in the diagram. It's correct there, so that's the one spot where it really would really be bad if it was wrong. But it's good in the diagram. So
Thanks, Danielle. We're really close to the end of the class. We did get a question today that I don't know if you have an answer to, but have you ever protected any of your beads in case of a discoloration or anything?
like you mean with a coating or something?
Yes.
I haven't, but you could if you wanted to do, like, you could do the ones that make contact with the clasp, maybe, because those tend to rub off more than say the rest of them would. But I don't know, I could use some education on that because that's not something I've tried before. So it's kind of neat. It's a neat idea.
Okay.
Usually I have a pretty good luck with my coatings. I mean, working with most beads, I haven't had a lot of, if they're gonna chip, it's gonna happen if I'm just going to town with my needle, just trying to get, connections, but that hasn't happened with any of the twin beads for me. And you saw I was being pretty aggressive with getting these turns going. It looks pretty good. See?
Thanks, Danielle. And you've got a couple of seconds, so we have a pretty interesting class on Friday for Michael's, and I definitely want you to have a second to share that.
Let me get that out. I'm just going to move these really quick. So Friday we're teaching, and the way to register for the class on Friday is to go to michaels.com/classes, and they'll send you a Zoom link similar to the one you got for this one. But we're doing, it's a really fun triangle. And so what this is if you've heard of contemporary geometric beadwork, they make, this is one of the components that they turn into a great many things. And so I just made a very simple version of it where it's got 3 colors and each color is, 1 loop around or 2 loops around. So it's delicas, size 11 delicas. And you can see a preview of what this is 2 ways. You can download our PDF, which is on the place where you go to register, the link for the class. You can also check out Contemporary Geometric Beadworks website. They have a bunch of videos, a bunch of diagrams. They've also got a really cool animation that shows these stitches being done in animation, which is a very cool effect. And it makes it really clear what's happening, especially the step ups, which is the only thing that you want to watch out for, really, that isn't super intuitive. And then this is just a version of that triangle. I made 6 triangles, stitched them together, and the pattern I used to make this is on their website. We're not doing this one in class because this one is a, oh gosh, this one took me a couple days. It was a kind of epic project, but the one in class that we're doing is just, a single triangle, and we'll have time to really go over the specifics of how to create this one shape, and that shape can become so many great things. So yeah, really cool class. And then we have other Michael's classes coming up too, so be sure to check those out. I'll share them at the end of class on Friday as well.
Danielle, as always, you're perfect for time.
Yeah, okay, cool. We're right on at 12:59 for me. For me, it's 12:59. I'm on the West Coast. I think a lot of you guys are on the East Coast, right? So for you, it's time for dinner. Oh, thanks, Valerie. Thank you so much. I'm gonna switch to gallery so I can just see all of you guys. And yeah. Oh, hi, Linda. I haven't seen you before. Hi, Linda. I see Valerie, Cindy, Loretta, and everyone else. Hi, Sharon. Thanks you guys for being here. And if you have any questions, of course, you can find me on, I'm really good with my Instagram Messenger, respond pretty quick to that. And I try with Facebook too. Facebook, for some reason, is a little more confusing, but I do try. So yeah. And then if you need anything, you know where to find me. And oh, yeah, and share your work with us, #JohnBead. All right, well, hey, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you Friday. Okay, bye guys. Hearts.